And joining me now is Senator Tom Ivester from District 26. Senator Ivester, thank you for being here on Oklahoma Capital Connection.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your district, District 26. Oil and gas primarily, agriculture. Can you tell us a little bit about your district and who you represent?
Sure. Western Oklahoma, Roger Mills County, Beckham County, Custer County, Blaine County, Caddo County, and part of Kingfisher County. So it's a large area.
Quite an area, and I'm guessing the diverse people.
Yeah, well, you've got a lot of small towns. Elk City and Anadarko would be the largest towns. Most of them are 3,000 people or under. Rural, agriculture, and oil and gas. There's a lot of oil and gas activity out in Roger Mills and Beckham County and Custer and Caddo. So really, I consider it the backbone of Oklahoma, traditional Oklahoma. Small towns, good people, salt of the earth.
Good. Well, you were born in Sayre, Oklahoma, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and family? And
my great-grandfather was a sharecropper in Jacksboro, Texas.
Wow. And
wanted some land of his own. So he left the family down there, and he got a horse and a pistol and rode north. And staked out 160 acres northwest of Sayre.
a land run?
Yeah, and so, stayed out there, brought the family up, stayed out there for the 5 years and proved it. And at 5 years, his wife said, "I'm moving into town with or without you." And we still have that original 160 acres.
Wow.
So grew up in Sayre, just a really good upbringing, great community, and couldn't have asked for a better childhood.
So the 160 acres, you currently farm it? Is that?
Yeah, it's still out there, and it's got some oil and gas production on it, and it's old red shale, so it's used for cattle grazing. I don't know how they farmed it back then, but I'm sure it wasn't that productive.
That must have been a tough row to hoe, as they say, right?
Yeah, tough way to make a living.
Well, you are an attorney by occupation, correct?
Yes.
Education, Texas Christian University and the University of Oklahoma. Of course, the Democratic Caucus chairman in the Senate. And you're on a number of committees. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about your family. You have some wonderful kids. I know that Jackson and Joseph actually were answering phones with us about a year ago and helping us out during the membership drive. But also you have a young daughter, Kate. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? This is a picture of you and the boys in the Senate, I take it? Yeah,
I've tried to bring all the kids up every year at least a day, and so they can spend it with me on the Senate. And they did have a great time answering those phones. And Jackson, the blonde-headed kid, still remembers the ice cream bars that we got.
We'll have to bring them back next year.
Yeah.
And you said that, was it Jackson and you that spent the night on the Capitol lawn, or was it Joseph?
No, it was Jackson. So the youngest, we camped out on the Capitol lawn this about a month or a month and a half ago, the night before the teacher rally, to kind of bring attention to it.
Yeah.
What a great experience.
Yeah, that's got to be a memorable experience. And then, of course, we have some other pictures of you with former Governor Brad Henry. Was this in the Senate as well?
That was in the Senate. You know, he was governor when I was first elected, and it was, an honor to serve with him, and thought a lot of Governor Henry.
And, of course, you were with also Lieutenant Governor Jerry Askins.
She was president of the Senate, as lieutenant governor. That's her official title, so we dealt a lot with her on a daily basis, and just a really good person.
And this next picture is with current Governor Mary Fallin, and you and Senator Sykes, is that right?
Yep, Senator Sykes is in the Air National Guard, and I'm in the Army National Guard, and we're the only two members in the National Guard that serve in the legislature also.
Wow. So. That is amazing. And, of course, the final is... That's quite a picture with you and Lieutenant Governor Todd Lamb and, of course, Sean Burridge, Senator Sean Burridge from Claremore area.
Sure, that's a more candid moment, but Governor Lamb is great to work with, and, of course, as President of the Senate, he's there a lot. So, and we served together as senators, so know him quite well, a great man.
Yeah. Well, you have told me a little bit earlier that you're an avid worker and an avid hunter, but more so probably an avid worker. So you spend a lot of time working, I tell you.
The actual, you asked me what my hobbies were.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, what do I do? I said, I work. I'm from Western Oklahoma. We work. I make fun of the people from Eastern Oklahoma all the time and say we work. But I kid. No, I'm in the National Guard. I practice law and I serve in the legislature, and I love to hunt. I don't have enough time to do it, but I do it where I can. Yeah, we work.
Work, and spend
There's
time
an
with
oil and gas
family.
boom going
Right,
on.
yeah, well, that's good. That's true. That's true. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the legislation that you're probably most proud of, because this is your last session, correct? Or
Sure.
last year?
Yeah, I'm not running again.
Yeah, and the decision to do that is due to you're running for a different office, correct?
Well, actually, my wife and I, had a lot of long heart-to-heart talks about it, and did some praying over Christmas time, and came to the conclusion that I just needed to spend more time with the family and kids, so decided not to run for re-election. I've served 2 terms. And about 4 or 5 weeks after that, our local district attorney announced he was not running, and so I threw my hat in the ring for the district attorney's race.
Well, good. Well,
So
good luck. We wish you the best.
thank you very much.
Well, let's talk about some of your legislation. One was the Taxpayer Transparency Act that you had worked on. How long ago was that?
Yeah, so I kind of campaigned on one of the issues of accountability and transparency and sunshine, making sure everybody knows what's going on. So when I was first elected, there was a senator in there named Randy Brogdon, and a Republican, and he and I co-authored legislation that created the openbooks.gov website, which is basically the state website where you can look everything up. It's basically, here it is. You can look up my salary. You can look up how much OETA is appropriated. You can look up, how much Department of Transportation spends on I-40. So I really felt strongly that we needed to make that as public as we could, and I feel really good about it. Every year the website continues to grow. We add more information, so people want to look up how our government dollars are spent. Go to the website, openbooks.gov, and you can see it.
There are also other links on that site?
Yeah, there are links to other agencies, other information, so I'm proud of it. I think has really opened up government spending.
Oh,
to
we
the
need to
public.
find out if we can get OETA.tv on that link.
Yeah,
so
yeah, there
make
you
sure
go.
Well, I know that there was one piece of legislation that you worked on in regards to Narconon and dealing with Scientology and regulation of Narconon. Is that correct?
Yeah, that
Hey,
is.
tell us a little bit about that, because that sounds like it was very controversial.
It was. Narconon is a drug rehab facility in eastern Oklahoma located in an old state lodge, Arrowhead State Lodge. And they had several deaths there within an 18-month period, and I looked into it and found that they were not regulated, so to speak, at least by the state of Oklahoma. And so I looked into it further, and nobody was doing anything about it. And so decided to introduce legislation to have them regulated by the Department of Mental Health in Oklahoma. And I didn't quite know what I was getting into, but I poked the hornet's nest, let me put it that way. And it was quite the odyssey making it through it. But come to find out, it's really owned or supported by the Church of Scientology, and which is not big in Oklahoma, but it sure is in Los Angeles and New York City. So, but we ended up getting some legislation passed, putting them under some regulations, making sure that we could go and inspect the facility. And the point was to prevent deaths, senseless deaths, and I was really proud of that piece of legislation.
Do you know what they were appropriated by the state? Or did they have any appropriation?
No, they have no appropriation.
So it's state licensed.
Right, it's just a
facility.
state license. So they have to apply to the Department of Mental Health. The Mental Health has rules and regulations they have to follow, be available for inspections and things like that. So I was extremely proud of that.
Okay. Well, another piece of legislation was teaching the Bible as historical text. Is that correct?
Correct.
In the schools?
Right.
And when was that introduced, and what happened with that legislation?
Well, several years ago, and it's now that Mustang School District is trying to is voted to offer the Bible as an elective course in their schools. Well, several years ago, I looked into it because I'd heard over and over, they've taken God out of schools, they've taken the Bible out of schools. So I'm a lawyer, I like constitutional law, looked into the constitutional provisions of teaching the Bible in schools, and we crafted a piece of legislation. There have been a few other states that did it, and so the trick was making it pass constitutional tests to make it constitutional, and so we ended up doing that. And so it is legal, completely legal, in the state of Oklahoma now to offer an elective course in the Bible as an elective and as a history course. And I'm extremely proud of that, and it took a lot of work.
Well, you also serve on a number of committees, appropriations subcommittee on both public safety and judiciary, and also on select agencies. Where are you at with appropriations right now? Have the talks begun, and what are we looking at?
Yeah, the talks have begun. They've been ongoing, progressing. Well, as we move farther along in the legislature, we see what the budget picture is. And of course, we've got the balanced budget requirement to can't spend more than what we take in. Session ends here in 3 or 4 weeks. So it is getting down to the cutting room. And so, yeah, there are ongoing talks about who gets funded, who gets cut, who needs more money, and
everybody needs more money. I hear that all the time, with the different agencies. So, are they looking at select cuts or in the Senate that you're aware of? Or are they more going with what the governor is proposing, 5% across the board for most state agencies?
They're looking at broad-based cuts, but they're also looking at agencies that have to have increases, so that you look at where your hands are tied. For example, Department of Corrections. If we add more inmates, we have to pay for their care. And likewise, our Medicaid rolls, if the Medicaid rolls grow, we have to allocate money to that. So there are a lot of areas where our hands are kind of tied, but yeah, we're looking at some cuts. We're hoping to hold the line and maybe increase some funding in education, which I'm a strong proponent of.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to someone that's running for office, since you've done it a couple of times now, and now you're running for DA? What would you tell someone that just getting ready to jump into the ring?
You need to do it.
I
mean, it's our democracy works because people work at it, and it's not easy. It's not always fun, but we need good people to run for office. No matter what your political party is or beliefs or persuasion, we need people who are willing to work at it, and that's what makes our democracy work, and that's what will propel us forward. Good people in good positions working hard.
Okay. Well, we've got about a minute left, and I wanted to get your final thoughts on the state of Oklahoma and how we're doing.
Well, of course, I come from a Western Oklahoma perspective, and we're booming.
You're booming in Western Oklahoma.
We have an oil and gas boom.
Yeah.
You contrast that with, on the agriculture side, Southwest Oklahoma's in a severe drought, have been. I just got, the insurance for my 3rd wheat crop, 3rd year in a row. It just brings a tear to your eye. You can't do anything but pray and do the rain dance. But on the oil and gas side, it's booming. And I tell people from Western Oklahoma, you want to know who's supporting the state, it's out there with our gross production tax. So that's been a godsend. But I will caution you, it's a boom and bust cycle, no matter how bad we say. When people start to say it's different this time, that's when you start to get warning signals. But, it's growing great. I hope it continues for as long as we can, and we'll do everything we can to do that.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Senator Ivester. We appreciate you coming in today.
Glad to be here.